let me show you a couple of cool things we could do. I want to talk about LUTs for a moment. We're going to be giving away a bunch of LUTs a little bit later, but LUTs are color recipes, and they have their origins in Hollywood. To use them, we have a really cool tool called the Mood tool. Now, I've got a personal connection because about half of these LUTs I've actually authored. I'm really passionate about them, and I'm going to give you a bunch of free ones later too, so you can expand it. LUTs allow you to experiment with color recipes. Notice how we're changing the mood of this picture. Well, what's cool here is you could use LUTs and you could use these tools together. So if you start with a template to kind of drive things where you're thinking, right? You know, you're thinking, hey, I want to kind of get things a little bit closer. You might remember earlier that Miles says he loves Flawless, that Flawless just helps him with all of his portraits and just does a nice little pop on his images. You could see there how it just really made the skin tones great and evened things out. Well, after that, you could still use the Mood tool to quickly experiment with different color recipes. And when you find one you like, it's so simple to lean into that. So we've got an amount slider, so you can control the intensity. You could change the contrast of the color, and you could even change the saturation of the effect. So what's really cool about this is it totally allows you to dial in a color grade. Now, Lightroom recently introduced some color grading tools. They have these three little wheels. Those were invented in the late 1980s and were originally shipped with Final Cut Pro and some other video editing tools. That technology is literally 30 years old. You want to use LUTs. LUTs are amazing because they let you encapsulate color recipes. And we give you the ability to load extra ones here when you choose Load Custom LUT File. Now, I know some of you are like, wow, I really wish there was visual previews like you have with skies and such. We've gotten that message. I can't confirm anything, but I can tell you we've heard you loud and clear that you want to make it easier to browse and work with color recipes. But look at how much fun these are. They just quickly jumpstart your color grading process and allow you to get in there, but they don't overtake it. So you could still go down here to color harmony and use that incredible color contrast tool. So color contrast lets you pop a color like, hey, I want to go after the greens, like of all the vegetation here. And notice how what it's doing is it's increasing the contrast in just the greens. So it maximizes the dynamic range of one color. We can use split color warmth to warm or cool those skin tones. And maybe I want to lean into the blue feeling of those flowers, so cool down the blues. This is like split toning, but it allows you to just really dial that in quickly and make it work. Okay? So this totally allows us to fill that in and just get a great, great image. So I think you guys are going to love that here. Vanelli, if you're here, I'm going to have you go in just a moment so I can give Pete a call. But let me go through and show you guys a couple more things here. Super contrast is also a great color grading tool because it allows you to refine tonality. So notice how we can rescue those skin tones. And this is a JPEG, folks. Look at how I brought back detail in the skin tones by adding contrast to the highlights. So a lot of people mistake normal contrast, right? Normal contrast, bluntly, is ugly as heck because it globally boosts contrast. Now, we have smart contrast, which is a little bit better. It allows you to change contrast without shifting colors. But notice here, sometimes I'll do a little negative smart contrast and look at how all the hair now stands out. Before that, the hair was getting lost. Now we could see all the subtle variations of the blues, the grays, and the browns in this lovely couple. By the way, our portrait tools can still recognize side profiles. So using face light here, we can easily add or subtract light to just their faces. I can still go in and easily whiten their teeth nicely to give them that beautiful, bright smile. So this is going to make it really nice to just go in there and finesse that and be able to bring that to life very cleanly. So as you can see there, just great color. Now, if I make something that I like, I can actually save this as a custom template. So when I save that there, it's now under templates. And if I go into the My Templates area, which is right here, I can rename that. So I'm going to call this Blue Romance because, it makes sense to me. So all you got to do is click the little three dots and tell it that you want to rename it. And here's something that's really cool. A lot of you don't know this, but you can actually give this to another person. If you click these three dots and say Show in Finder, that's everything you need right there. Let me just hide a little bit of this clutter really quick here. 1 second. There we go. So you can see that it's got the icon, it's got the preset, it's got the LUT that was actually used to create that, and it's all in one folder. You just give that folder, this stands for .lmt, which is a Luminar template, and they copy it into their users folder. So if they ever want to add those, all they got to do is launch their templates folder, and they could easily go in and drop in their own templates here very easily and put them into the My Templates area. This allows them to just add to this. And if they want to use it again, make it easy, just click the heart icon and it's added to favorites. So now when I'm working here, if I see another picture that I want to bring that feeling, maybe it was a couple session or a group of pictures, we can go in, jump into templates here very easily and just apply it. So there's my templates or my favorites, and you see it right there, Blue Romance. And I get that lovely color and the shift there. And we brought it to life. But everything is still 100% editable. So if I want to tweak this a little bit, I can. Also, another amazing color grading tool is right up here under color. There's two things I like. First up, you've got HSL. So if I'm looking at this clothing here, I like it, but it's not quite right. So I can go here to the cyan slider and the blue slider and shift that blue around. I like it going a little bit more denim-y. I don't know if that's a word. Denim-like. There we go. Blue jean-like. Feels good. And now I'm going to go into the saturation of that blue and just tone it down a little bit. And with luminance, I'm going to target that blue for just a little lift. See how easy that was to just tone it down? So I didn't want the blue to be so dominant that it took us away from this amazing couple, just this sign of love as they've linked their fingers together and we see this engagement session. So that's worked really well. By the way, though, don't be afraid of structure. Structure is going to add a little bit of detail in, but not muck with your skin tones. So it's easy to put a little pop in there if you need it. Or remember the power of a vignette. So you don't want to overdo the vignette. If someone ever says to you, that's a nice vignette, that's not a compliment. What you can do here is go a little aggressive to start. Check where you're going to put the subject. And I'm going to go right on that diamond ring. Tweak the feather, play with the shape, and then tone down the amount. You just want a little subtle kiss of edge, and that pulls you into your subject here so you can really see where that's going, and it comes together nicely. Let's take something here. I like this. It's both street and couple. We got a nice urban environment, and the photo already had an in-camera look applied, right? This was taken on a mobile device with some processing, but we realized that we wanted to go a little bit further. Well, first up, templates can be helpful. We do have some templates here that are designed for street photography, experimental influencer. These work great, but I want to show you what's in play here. So with Color Ramp, for example, it's going to mix a nice black and white image in, as well as some overlays to give it a little bit of a light leak feel. But let's break this one down. First up, that texture is right here in the local masking tool. So you could tweak that texture. If you don't want it to have color, you could take the color out and have it be subtle. Or you could lean into the color and lean into the contrast and play with its exposure value to get more or less of that effect. And notice how simple it is. You have full control over how it behaves. So that's pretty cool. I just wanted you to realize how flexible that was. And if there's a part where you don't want it, just grab the eraser tool and you could take it out of that area. Notice, by the way, I'm erasing with partial opacity. So I didn't remove it entirely, I just lowered it down. Now in that case, I was painting there, and that's easy. But you could even reverse the mask if you needed to, like that. So it's super simple to be in total control. Now, I see a couple of you raising your hands. Please take advantage of the Q&A section. That's the best place to ask your questions so our team can help you. We can't open up your mics. It's just too hard with 500 to 700 people to open up a microphone. But let me keep working here. I'm going to go back to the regular edit area, and I want to show you a little bit about street photography, black and white, grunge type stuff that we can do. First up, don't be afraid of structure. Structure is awesome. It's better than clarity with nice dynamic contrast. Notice how that really brings out the texture. So what we can do here is we can really boost that so it is more intense. And if I zoom to 100%, you're really able to see what happens with boost. There's been a couple of questions of what does boost do? Boost increases the aggressiveness of the effect. So notice there as we push it, it's increasing the graininess and how strong the effect is. Additionally, within black and white is not just removing all the color. That's part of it. But with the black and white effect, we can actually change the luminosity values of different areas. So this allows us to target different areas there, like the yellows in their skin tones, so that we bring more of that skin tone to life. Notice there how we could pull that down. And that's giving us the ability to mix a custom black and white recipe. Plus, on top of this, take advantage of a couple more tools. First up, the vignette is always popular. It's going to work nicely. But I'm a big fan of Mystical and Glow. Mystical is going to give you moody, dark shadows, right? You can see there how the shadows get richer. Glow is going to give you nice, gentle highlights. Also, another thing that you'll frequently see is the use of film grain. Film grain is going to allow you to really bring this to life a little bit more and add in just a bit more of that organic feeling. Now, that works nicely. I mentioned as well that we're about to give you another texture pack. I'm going to post the link as soon as we're done here. And what you could do for that street photography is give it the feeling of paper. So by adding in a little bit of texture here, you have the ability to load extra textures. And we can go in and browse those. And so what I'm doing here is just looking at these, and we got the message too that you guys would like to be, these would be visual. So, you're going to continue to see improved browsing experiences. But these are some film type papers and stained water papers that we're about to give you the download link for. And you can layer those in, take them up to 100% to start, and then play with your blending mode. Blending modes mix them together. And what you can see there is it starts to create this really interesting sort of overlay effect. So I like the soft light here. I think hard light actually works better. It's giving a nice little stain. And you can adjust how that comes together there, like so, and really finesse it. So this just gives you that opportunity to bring it to life. And remember, everything's non-destructive. So if you decide you don't want that hint of color, turn it off. And now we've got a nice effect. Now, I want to talk about two more things before we introduce David, our next speaker, and welcome, David. What we're going to do here is take advantage of Composition AI. So Composition AI is 3 tools in one. First up, it's your crop tool. So you could manually crop all day long. So if you're targeting something like Instagram, you might want to go with a 5x4 actually, rather than a pure square, because it gives you a little more screen real estate. If you want to post this to Facebook, for example, you see that we actually have presets designed so that Facebook won't auto crop your photo when it shows it in the feed, so we can get you there. Or you can use the original. And when you click Composition AI, it's going to analyze the image and adjust the crop. And here it applied the rule of thirds to better frame our subject. So that works nicely. Additionally, if you've got issues like a non-straight photo, you can analyze that and look how it's straightened the picture ever so slightly to have a perfect horizon. Or with another click, we could fix the verticals so that we've got good, clean vertical images. And so that's just going to allow you to put that into play. You can press the return key and it will apply the effect. So you can see there how we were able to just fix minor issues with the picture that were getting in the way of enjoying it. So I think you guys are going to like that. I've got time to do one more thing, and then David, are you about set to go if we come to you? Perfect. All right, let me just do something fast then. So one of the other things with Street that I like to point out is taking advantage of syncing. So if you've got one picture developed, all you got to do is press copy. You can now totally go through and find any other pictures that are similar to the ones that you want to edit. And it makes it really fast and simple because you can grab those pictures, and we'll just take a few different ones here. Some of these are lifestyle portraits too, and paste. And everything from the LUT to the color grading recipe to the accent AI for the auto exposure, all of that is globally synced, giving us a consistent look for a series. So that's a huge time saver. But everything you need to do is still there. So instead of starting all over, I could just jump right in, open up the image and analyze it here really quick. You can see it just decoded there. And using my edit module, I don't have to do a lot of work. You've seen our landscape folks talk about super contrast. It's amazing for fixing your shadows and highlights. So I could use this to improve the highlights of my image, as you see there, letting me just totally get the type of sky that I wanted. And I could use it to improve the contrast there on my shadows. So notice how we've just got that perfect balance there of still seeing all of the detail with the rich black and white, but it just allows you to really dial that in. And so instead of the regular shadow highlights, please try out super contrast, because what it does is it allows you to tackle shadows and highlights while also restoring contrast. So you don't get that washed out look that's really key. And there's nothing wrong with taking mystical and the Orton effect, adding rich shadows and blown out highlights. Notice there how we really bringing that feeling of film to life, where we've got that nice luminosity glow there in the highlights. And you know what? I actually like that. So again, I'm going to save that and just give it a good name, because that's worth using again. So when you come up with something you like, go to your templates and totally save that in there. So I'm just going to call that luminous black and white. And now I've got it ready to use.